my feel-good breakfast show.
Let's talk finances. In a world of credit and debit cards, store accounts, internet banking, how can parents raise financially savvy kids? Well, this morning we are chatting to the one and only person that we always go to for these types of conundrums, Nikki, human potential and parenting expert, and we're talking about kids and money. Simple. The role of pocket money and allowances. How do we get them to grow their financial profile from the very first steps? Nix, really good morning to you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Great to chat to you today, Graham, about this really important thing of laying the foundations for kids to be financially savvy once they're older.
Because we need it. Throughout our entire life, we need to have a good relationship with money. So let's start at the beginning. What's the best way for kids to learn about the value of money? Because surely that's what's at the heart. There is a value here.
Absolutely. So, of course, as we speak about children, often concrete learning is how they really understand things. And unfortunately, we live in this sort of very abstract world when it comes to money, with credit cards and store cards and not a lot of hard cash around. So children really do learn best when they actually work with real money, their own money, because if it's their own money, there are consequences. They need to experience the consequences of saving it and spending it. So pocket money is your child's first personal experience with their own money. So let's make sure that in the early years, and I know you have a 4-year-old who's at that stage where he's probably emptying his mum's purse, playing with the money. You know, it's real. He's starting to play shop, and trade. And, you know, there's nothing better than kids making stuff and selling stuff. But from about 3 years of age, we really need to start looking at pocket money as a vehicle for teaching kids about money.
And how do we play that out? What are we talking? 1 rand, 50 cents, 20 bucks, 100 bucks? How much should we be giving for the tooth fairy, incidentally? I mean, what is a reasonable, because it's surely the notion of saving, not necessarily that we're wanting them to start their nest egg then and there. What sort of parameters should we set? Because bearing in mind they're 3 years old, so how should we approach the piggy bank?
Right, so pocket money at the age of 3, 4, 5 will be a defined amount of money given on a weekly basis. So on a Saturday morning, you can give them their pocket money, and it's going to be different for every family depending on economic circumstances. And at the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever you give them, they can go and fritter it away on things like sweets and non-essentials, you know, treats. And they should be allowed to choose what they want. And you shouldn't be interfering. And so it's got to be very limited. You know, whether you're going to give your child 5 rand or 20 rand is going to be, determined by your economic circumstances. My rule of thumb with my own children was actually 10 rand for every year of their life. And that would be for a month. Okay, so that would be, say, at age 5, 50 rand, and then if you divided that per week, obviously it's probably going to be a bit more than that now. My kids are a bit older. So if you took 100 rand and divided that over 4 weeks, say, you know, that's 25 rand a week. Or maybe you're going to give them 10 rand a weekend, you know, depending on age once again. And this is not for saving. We'll get to that. This is just for spending. So you don't want to give them a lot of money. Go and look at what they like to buy. You know, what's their favorite sweet? It's probably something that costs between 12 and 15 rand. So maybe that's a good guide. And I would say start giving children pocket money from around the age of 3. And once again, they don't have to save that. They don't have to invest it. They must enjoy the spending of it, because money is there to be our servant, to serve us, and it's there to be spent, to be saved and invested. But to begin with, it's just the spending, and the consequence is once it's used up, there is no more until the next week. So they have to wait.
Got to wait till payday, like the rest of us. I love that. I want you to think about the piggy bank as a notion, as something that, a construct. Does it still need to exist? I know we're going to get onto savings in just a moment. Nikki, thank you so much. We're going to continue our conversation in just a bit. I want you guys at home to think about that. I think this is starting to raise questions about my own financial relationship, how I see money. Heading off one thing that Nikki said there, that money should serve us. I wonder how many adults feel that way now. Well, we want to make sure that our children have the right notion from the very beginning. We're going to continue talking kids and money in just a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue our chat about raising financially savvy kids this morning with our human potential and parenting expert and good friend, Nikki Bush. Nikki, I planted the seed before we ended our last discussion around the piggy bank. Is there still a place in this world for a piggy bank, or should we be looking at virtual, at bitcoins, at a bank account? Is there a place for the gorgeous little piggy bank still?
Okay, so Graham, we're still talking about young children here from around the age of 3 through to, I'd say, around the age of 8 or 9. And I think a piggy bank, once again, is a concrete mechanism for storing the money and making sure you can't get to it to spend it. So give your children notes and coins when you're giving them their pocket money. And then actually, from the age of about 7, they should have 3 piggy banks, not 1. The first piggy bank is because they're going to divide their money up into saving and charity and spending. So the first one is for saving, and it teaches them how to delay gratification, saving up for something at the end of the month or something at the end of 6 months that they really want to go and buy. Then there's one for charity, and that is for fostering the habit of giving and generosity. And that could be, in your family, you might say 10% goes towards giving. And at school, there are always charities that your children can give to. And you might say, look, everything you save for charity, I'll double. So when you have to give it for charity, I'll give you extra. And then the other one is, of course, the spending piggy bank. And that's to teach them to enjoy their money. And I think that is something that, as adults, many of us don't know how to save, invest, or enjoy the spending, or we enjoy the spending too much and we don't do all the other things. And then I think what's really important, Graham, is that only about 25% of children in this country actually have a bank account. And we do need to get them thinking beyond the piggy bank to the bank account. So I would say that once you've got those 3 piggy banks going, with a savings goal on the 1 piggy bank, say once they reach 200 Rand in that savings piggy bank, then take them to the bank to open that first bank account and make a big fuss about it. I remember taking my kids to the bank to get their first bank cards, cameras, lights, action. It's a big moment. It's actually part of the rite of passage. And I think we need to make sure that we honor that and celebrate it. And of course, you can do simulation of spending money and saving money and giving money with amazing board games that involve money. So don't be shy to play those kinds of games with your kids as well.
And then, of course, you have the opportunity to level up, if you will, and get them to start wrapping their head around the idea of a budget and having to partition their money off for their various needs. So when do we start converting pocket money into an actual allowance? At what age do we kind of level up the financial kind of mindset with our young ones?
That's a great question. And I think that really goes with becoming a teenager. Once again, a rite of passage. And somewhere between 13 and 15 years of age, depending on how mature your child is, you need to think of transitioning, where you will give them a bigger amount of money, obviously with a budget, because you work out what they're going to have to cover. And for me, it's certainly not things like, toiletries like deodorant and stuff. That's part of the family groceries. But it would be in those years when your child wants fancy sneakers and you're prepared to pay the basic price for a good sneaker, and if they want those extra special ones, they've got to save for the extra amount. You might give them airtime, because then they become aware of how much data they use, how much airtime they use. And things like, entertainment. They're starting to socialize a lot more. So, you work out, okay, they'll probably go out 4 times in a month, or maybe it's twice a month that you're prepared to pay for. And you work out with them, what does that cost? And you make sure you give them just enough, and that there are other things that they can do to earn a little extra if they need to, whether they go and get a job or whether they do those extra hard jobs around the house, like washing and polishing your car, which is a hard job. It's not closing the curtains and feeding the dog. This is going to take them an hour or 2 of their time.
I absolutely love that. Any last advice? Because this is already kind of hitting a couple of triggers within me about my own relationship with money. And I think for a lot of parents out there, guiding their children through this process is going to go a similar sort of route where they're going to be doing a bit of self-inspection. Any advice for parents out there when it comes to finances and their kids?
Yes, I think number one, make sure you get that bank account sorted as soon as possible, and that your children learn about money in the early years by dealing with real money and discovering the consequences, that when it's gone, it's gone. When you spent it, it's gone. And then also we spoke about saving, investing, charity, and spending. And then remember that financially savvy adults are created during childhood.
It's too late for some of us, but not for our kids. Thank you so much, Nikki. Some sage advice there. And you can also have a lot of fun along this journey as well. I can speak from my own personal experience with my little one. It really does become a beautiful way to teach, grow, and bond. Thank you so much to Nikki Bush, our resident human potential and parenting expert, sharing some beautiful tips on how to raise kids that better understand the use and value of money.